CM Punk is in the main event of WrestleMania, something he has sought his entire career, but he'll face two formidable challengers and bitter rivals in Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. We've been thinking as WrestleMania 41 is growing near about the Second City Saint and his WrestleMania history, which is pretty underrated in retrospect. Punker's had some absolute bangers in the past at WrestleMania, with some very big wins and some significant losses, which brings us to the topic of today's video, the WrestleMania loss that had the most impact on Big Match Phil's WWE career. Yes, it's Sportskeeda Wrestling, the best in the world. We're talking about him. But before we go any further, we're getting close to 200,000 subscribers here on Sportskeeda Wrestling on YouTube. So why not help us get there by hitting the subscribe button, enable those notifications so you never miss a video. Please, thank you, and thanks and please. Jump into the comments and give us your favorite CM Punk match or moment, and hit that like button. CM Punk broke big into WWE in the mid-2000s as a hot commodity on the independent circuit and Ring of Honor. He would make a big splash in ECW and then make an immediate splash on the main roster. He would make his WrestleMania debut at WrestleMania 23 in Detroit, Michigan in 2007 as a part of the Money in the Bank ladder match. Technically, his WrestleMania debut, for you wrestling nerds out there, could have been WrestleMania 22 in his hometown of Chicago, where he played an extra role as one of John Cena's gangsters during an elaborate entrance, but that doesn't really count. Punk, the only ECW competitor at the 2007 WrestleMania, came close to winning the star-studded ladder match, which also included Matt and Jeff Hardy, Booker T, Finlay, Edge, Randy Orton, and the eventual winner, Mr. Kennedy. Punk came close to capturing the briefcase to cash in for an anywhere, anytime world title shot, but took a ladder to the face from Kennedy, eating both steel and a loss in the process. It didn't derail Punk very much at all, considering he came back the following year at WrestleMania 24 in Florida and won the very same match. Then he made it a double down by winning the Money in the Bank again for a second year in a row at WrestleMania 25 in Texas, cashing in his briefcase successfully on two separate occasions following these big WrestleMania wins. He was a guy right near the top of the main event scene, even getting a world title here and there, but wasn't seen as a top guy. Punk's next loss came at WrestleMania 26 in a showdown with the beloved luchador Rey Mysterio, who was cosplaying as a character from Avatar. That was a popular movie at the time. Rey Mysterio comes out at WrestleMania, he dresses like a popular costume character. This came during Punk's straight edge society run, where he was kind of like an occult leader, wound up in his own purity of not having drugs or alcohol, where he targeted Rey Mysterio and his family for months in a bitter personal feud, evidenced by the presence of big Luke Gallows and Serena Not Deeb Just Yet at ringside throughout the match. They were his cult followers. Rey defeated Punk in an underrated confrontation, which would have seen Rey join the Straight Edge Society if Punk had won the match. The loss didn't change all that much for the best in the world, given it didn't have the highest stakes in the feud, with Punk getting his head shaved by Mysterio after losing to him at the Over the Limit event a month later in May. Heading into WrestleMania 27 in Atlanta, Georgia, CM Punk went one-on-one with another generational talent, the methodical and brutal Randy Orton, in a match that was built on the spot a few years prior, where Orton punt-kicked a much younger Punk out of his World Heavyweight Championship, a title he would have to vacate, and a title that Randy Orton would later win that same night. This caused Big Match Phil to vacate that world title without losing it in the ring, something that would certainly not sit well with CM Punk in the future. But with those circumstances, you would think that CM Punk was the good guy heading into this match. No, he was the villain seeking revenge against someone who was just simply beloved by the audience at the time, Randall Keith Orton. Punk was now short-haired and in control of the new Nexus. Oh no, not the new Nexus. Yeah, they weren't the same as the Nexus. And they were seeking some type of revenge, that's a word we'll keep getting back to, by using the numbers game to attack Orton on the road to Mania. It didn't exactly work out for them because week by week during the build, they all got punt kicked by Orton. The new Nexus was banned from ringside at WrestleMania, and Punk was still up for a good fight against Mr. Orton. It wasn't enough, though, as he was caught with a pretty impressive RKO when Randy Orton countered it from a springboard. Now, an impressive as it is, Seth Rollins curb stomp into an RKO at WrestleMania 31, or the Evan Bourne shooting star press into an RKO, it's still pretty impressive for those RKOs that people talk about. The WrestleMania 27 match wasn't even the end of Punk and Orton's feud. They had a last man standing match at Backlash the following month. But what their WrestleMania match and its build-up did do was significant. It introduced the very early stages of the voice of the voiceless, the best in the world, the pristine, defined incarnation of CM Punk at his greatest powers. Yes, a loss at WrestleMania really peeled back the onion for what we needed from CM Punk and what he wanted to show us. Punk was feeling shortchanged by the company and his peers after looming near the semi-main event scene for a long time, seeking true, unfiltered revenge for past wrongs and not being recognized. It was about revenge and recognition. That's why he sought out Orton for the past world title steal from him years prior. WWE took his first world title from him, and he wanted to vocalize that they and everyone against him had to pay for this. He started to vocalize this, and what became of it was some of the most savory tasting revenge promos of all time. The bitter, salty chip on his shoulder would become a spear for which he would verbally jab into his enemies and the company he was wrestling in itself. He literally did this in a very similar way against the guy, the face of WWE, with the pipe bomb promo, while building towards Money in the Bank 2011 with his career in a very awkward transitional period. His contract with WWE literally was coming up the same night as Money in the Bank 2011 in his hometown of Chicago, a run that began a short time after the loss to Orton at WrestleMania. This was the start of the rivalry of the year for WWE in 2011, the Summer of Punk as it would be dubbed, even though still technically representing the Nexus until his WWE World Championship match against Cena at Money in the Bank. It was really about Punk versus Cena and Punk versus the WWE regime as you knew it. Punk became the new Stone Cold Steve Austin very quickly after being a villain near the top of the card. Couple all of these combustible elements together, CM Punk's real-life frustrations with WWE and not being recognized as someone in the main event, and now seeking revenge to possibly take the World Championship from John Cena and leave the company with it in his hometown in front of a very biased and preferential audience at the Rosemont Horizon Allstate Arena in Chicagoland. It was a perfect Punk storm. He was meant to be losing at that year's WrestleMania on the undercard to Randy Orton, the man who cost him his first world title, while The Miz, a reality show upstart who broke through, was in the main event of the biggest show of the year against John Cena, for reasons that maybe diehard fans at the time simply couldn't swallow. Punk felt that he should have been higher on the card at WrestleMania 27, as he noted during his Best in the World WWE documentary, voicing The Miz's frustrations among others. And yes, we realize that the pipe bomb, the WWE Championship win that he would get from Cena at that Money in the Bank show, and the subsequent Summer of Punk where he would leave WWE hanging, was everything that really challenged things for him and challenged WWE as we knew it at the time. CM Punk changed WWE. But the rivalry with Orton served as a blueprint, a transitional turning point for the upper mid-carder to become a household name that CM Punk is today. It was the first on-screen instance of CM Punk voicing his frustrations with his treatment in WWE. The fact that he lost the WrestleMania match only added to that. The following year, he was defending the WWE Championship with the baby blue stripes and the red blue stars in a bitter title feud with a certified legend, Chris Jericho. Yeah, they may not have gotten the show-closing moment at WrestleMania 28 in Florida. They had once-in-a-lifetime Rock and Cena. They had Triple H and Undertaker Hell in a Cell, but they were still in a very strong title match position on the biggest show of the year, and CM Punk held his own as a babyface fighting champion. The following year, with things changing for CM Punk, no longer having the championship, losing it to Rock so he could bring it into another rematch with John Cena at a WrestleMania in the shadow of New York City, CM Punk was once again out of the main event of WrestleMania and suffered a loss at the hands of the legendary Undertaker. After being denied his main event, CM Punk was given the consolation prize of facing the Phenom. And boy did he, they stole the show. Yeah, if you thought CM Punk and Undertaker stole the show, jump into the comments below. Yeah, they had the best match that year at WrestleMania. Punk had Paul Heyman in his corner, adding crazy levels to the build, going as far as stealing Paul Bearer's ashes. Yeah, that's some big boss man level stuff. Taker beat Punk, but it didn't change much for the Second City Saint. He was already well established in the main event scene, but he wasn't the guy. Once again, he just wasn't the guy. In the nicest way possible, most people didn't expect him to beat The Undertaker, and at the time, that kind of wasn't the point. They had a banger match. They got you to think that Punk could beat The Undertaker, and for 2.5 seconds, that's all it took, a sense of disbelief, and one more Taker win in his WrestleMania win streak. That's fine. It got you. Punk even got the live version of Cult of Personality performed live by Living Color. That was cool. Taker made it 21-0 with his victory over CM Punk, and the status quo of Undertaker at WrestleMania stood tall. Yes, CM Punk got one of the biggest matches of his career, despite it being a loss to The Undertaker at WrestleMania, but it still wasn't the thing he was seeking. It showed that CM Punk was capable of hanging with the biggest players in the game, as he had done now for years, with Cena, Orton, Jericho, and now Undertaker. From this point on, fans were still seeing CM Punk as an almost WrestleMania main eventer. But that doesn't mean you are the main eventer. And now, only 14 years later, after a lot more twists and turns in the path of CM Punk, him leaving pro wrestling for many years to do different film and comic book projects, fight in the UFC, jump over to AEW, do some acting. Yeah, he's actually a WrestleMania main eventer. And it might not have happened without that one loss to Randy Orton at WrestleMania 27 back in 2011. It may even benefit CM Punk to lose his long-awaited WrestleMania 41 main event, in hopes that it will put a fire underneath the punker and rally fans around him for a pursuit of a world championship once again. Yeah, that's another topic for another video, which we may or may not cover pretty soon, so keep an eye out for that. Which makes us think of everything that is going on with wrestling right now. Whatever happens, though, you can agree or not agree. Get in the comments below and let us know what you think of the hard-fought road in WrestleMania matches for CM Punk. It's undeniable, and it might be the first of many to come. Even if you don't personally think that this loss or this setback was that much of a catalyst for Punk's rise, it was one of many documented challenges he has had to overcome in his wrestling journey in WWE that started with the doors of Ohio Valley Wrestling opening for him in 2005. One of those setbacks helping ending CM Punk that we knew before to the CM Punk that we really know now. Why not smash that title bell icon while you're at it? Enable notifications so you know when we drop videos just like this. And if you haven't done it already, subscribe to Sportskeeda Wrestling and help us get to 200,000. Thank you for watching.